Firearm owners, pay close attention. Everything you thought you knew about gun rights is changing, and December will mark a turning point that could redefine firearm ownership in this country forever. The Supreme Court has just dropped an emergency ruling that effectively ends the requirement for firearm permits, a move that has left millions of citizens shocked, excited, and for some, deeply concerned. This is not a minor legal adjustment or a temporary measure. This is a historic decision that alters the landscape of gun rights permanently. For decades, permits have acted as both a legal checkpoint and a regulatory measure, controlling who could carry firearms, under what circumstances, and ensuring a layer of accountability. With this ruling, that layer has been removed entirely, meaning the responsibility now lies squarely on the shoulders of every gun owner to navigate this new reality responsibly. The Supreme Court's decision came as a surprise to many legal analysts who expected the emergency ruling to maintain at least some restrictions temporarily. Instead, the court acted decisively, signaling that it is moving to remove bureaucratic barriers that have long restricted lawful gun ownership. By eliminating the permit requirement, the court is essentially saying that adult citizens who are legally allowed to own firearms should have fewer obstacles in exercising their Second Amendment rights. However, this change is not without consequences. Without permits, law enforcement agencies no longer have a standardized method to verify whether someone carrying a firearm is doing so legally, raising questions about accountability, safety, and enforcement. For law-abiding gun owners, this is both a moment of liberation and a call to heightened responsibility. The responsibility to ensure safe handling, proper storage, and legal compliance now rests entirely on individuals. Firearms are powerful tools, and the court's decision makes it clear that exercising your constitutional rights comes with obligations that cannot be ignored. Gun safety training, awareness of local and federal laws, and maintaining clear documentation of ownership are now more critical than ever. The absence of permits removes one layer of oversight, but it does not remove the legal consequences of misuse, negligent handling, or illegal activity. The immediate implications for law enforcement are significant. Officers have relied on permits for decades to quickly determine whether a firearm is being carried legally. Now, without this standard checkpoint, determining legality becomes more complicated and nuanced, potentially creating confusion on the streets as officers adapt to the new legal framework. Police departments are already preparing for the shift by updating protocols and providing guidance on how to handle encounters with citizens carrying firearms lawfully without permits. This transitional period requires cooperation and understanding from both law enforcement and firearm owners. Knowing your rights, being transparent, and practicing safe, responsible gun handling will be essential for avoiding unnecessary confrontations. The political fallout from the Supreme Court's decision is also unfolding rapidly. Legislators at both the state and federal levels are evaluating how to respond, with some already drafting proposals to introduce new regulations or restrictions in reaction to the court's ruling. Gun rights organizations, on the other hand, are rallying supporters to defend the decision as a victory for constitutional freedoms. Public discourse is heating up, with heated debates over safety, liberty, and the proper balance between individual rights and public protection. Citizens must now educate themselves not just about the court's ruling, but also about the potential legislative changes that could emerge in response. Staying informed and proactive is essential for navigating this new era responsibly. For the firearms industry, this decision signals a major shift. Retailers, manufacturers, and dealers will no longer be required to check permits as part of the sale or transfer process, fundamentally changing the way transactions are conducted. This could lead to an increase in sales as barriers to ownership are lowered, but it also places added responsibility on businesses to ensure buyers understand their obligations. Many industry experts are emphasizing the need for education programs, clear guidelines, and resources to help gun owners stay compliant with all applicable laws, even in the absence of permit requirements. Proper training, awareness campaigns, and clear communication between sellers and buyers are now crucial for maintaining both legality and safety. December, in particular, is shaping up to be a pivotal month. This is when the full effects of the Supreme Court's ruling are expected to take hold, influencing not only individual gun owners but entire communities. Citizens who may have hesitated to carry or purchase firearms due to permit requirements may now feel empowered to exercise their rights fully. However, this freedom is not unconditional. Federal, state, and local laws still impose restrictions on certain individuals, such as convicted felons or those prohibited for mental health reasons, and on specific types of firearms. Carrying in sensitive locations like schools, government buildings, or private property without permission still carries legal consequences. Understanding these limitations is essential to avoid legal trouble in the new post-permit landscape. Public reaction to the ruling has been intense and polarized. Social media is filled with celebrations from gun enthusiasts who view this as a long-awaited restoration of freedoms, while critics express concern about potential increases in accidents, misuse, or unregulated carry. Community forums and online discussions are dominated by advice on responsible ownership, voluntary training programs, and best practices for ensuring safety without the traditional permit system. Many experts stress that just because permits are no longer required does not mean that all regulations are gone or that safety practices can be ignored. Responsible ownership has never been more important. Gun owners are now being urged to take concrete steps to adapt. This includes investing in formal training programs, reviewing all applicable laws, understanding property and public safety rules, and ensuring firearms are stored securely. Even in the absence of permits, documentation of ownership and adherence to training and safety protocols will serve as evidence of responsible conduct in any legal inquiry. Firearm enthusiasts are encouraged to join community education programs, participate in awareness campaigns, and advocate for safety practices among peers. Personal responsibility is the foundation of lawful gun ownership, and this ruling has made it abundantly clear that each citizen must rise to the occasion. Legal experts are also warning that this ruling may spark additional court cases in the coming months. States or municipalities that attempt to impose their own permit-like requirements could face challenges, potentially resulting in further Supreme Court decisions that clarify or expand the implications of this landmark ruling. Citizens must remain vigilant, monitoring legal updates closely and seeking advice when uncertain about the scope of their rights. Understanding not just the ruling, but its broader impact on state and federal law is essential for maintaining compliance and ensuring safe, responsible ownership. The Supreme Court's decision also has broader social implications. By removing permit requirements, the court has emphasized personal responsibility over bureaucratic oversight. This is likely to influence not only how firearms are carried and owned, but also how citizens engage in discussions about rights, safety, and civic responsibility. Education, awareness, and community involvement will play a larger role in preventing accidents, deterring misuse, and promoting a culture of responsible ownership. Citizens who take the time to learn, train, and stay informed will be best positioned to exercise their rights safely and legally. For individual gun owners, the message is clear. Preparation is everything. Knowing your legal obligations, practicing safe handling, and investing in training are no longer optional. They are essential. This ruling places freedom in one hand and responsibility in the other, making it imperative that gun owners act wisely, thoughtfully, and proactively. Understanding the new legal landscape, maintaining compliance with remaining laws, and setting a standard of responsible behavior will not only protect individual rights, but also strengthen public trust in lawful firearm ownership. As December approaches, communities, retailers, and law enforcement will all be adjusting to the new reality. Firearms training programs, safety workshops, and public education campaigns are expected to surge in demand, helping citizens adapt to a landscape without permits. The Supreme Court's ruling marks a historic moment in the ongoing evolution of gun rights, and how individuals respond now will shape the culture of ownership for years to come. Responsible, informed, and prepared citizens will be the ones who thrive in this new era. In summary, the Supreme Court's emergency ruling ending firearm permits is a monumental development that permanently alters the way gun rights are exercised. This December is set to be a pivotal month, signaling both freedom and responsibility for gun owners nationwide. The removal of permits places a greater emphasis on individual accountability, legal knowledge, and community engagement. Citizens must educate themselves, adhere to safe practices, and stay informed about evolving laws to navigate this historic change successfully. The era of permit-free firearm ownership has begun, and those who are prepared, disciplined, and responsible will be best equipped to embrace this new reality safely and legally.